Now we'll look at solving part B of example 2. So the thing to notice is that we're taking the derivative of x, and because x's show up in the exponent, we're going to have to use the exponential derivative rule. But in the very first term, the x that's in the exponent is a denominator of an exponent, and that makes it tricky. So we're going to focus on 2 over x and think of it as like u equals 2 over x, so that we can rewrite it with a negative exponent, and then we can take the derivative of the term where x is to a power not in a derivative. So we still have that 2 coefficient. So that 2 came over here, and we were really just focusing on the derivative of x to the negative 1. And so we can clean that up and rewrite it without a negative exponent. Now we're ready to go ahead and take the derivative of the problem. So the derivative of h of x, when we're looking at taking the derivative of the first term, will be copy the question, take the natural log of the base. Remember, the base is e in this case, but again, the natural log of e is just 1, so we don't need that. And now we need to take the derivative of the exponent, which this was our du dx piece, where we found the derivative to be negative 2 over x squared. So we've just finished the whole first term in this 2-term derivative, and now we're ready to write our plus sign and focus on the derivative of e to the negative 2x. So I copy the question, natural log of the base, oh yeah, it was e, so I don't need it, and the derivative of the top, which is just negative 2. Now I'm ready to clean all this up. So h of the x. So as always, we tend to put what ends up on the far right in the front, and because the natural log is gone, we don't have that. We just have our exponential term, which was e to the power of 2 over x. Then I had my plus sign in between, and again, as I go to move the last term to the front, oh, it was a negative 2. So this looks weird. I have plus a negative 2, but we're going to clean that up in a minute. And I finish off by writing the exponential. So here's where it gets a little tricky. When I go to clean it up, I need to think of that e to the power of 2 over x as being in the numerator of a fraction, so I can keep it in the numerator for my answer. So what this looks like is e to the 2 over x is multiplied with my negative 2, and that whole thing is over x squared. Instead of writing plus, whoops, wrong pen. Instead of writing plus the negative 2 piece, I'm just going to change it to minus where 2 is on the top. And because my e looks like it was to a negative exponent, I find people tend to put it in the denominator. Technically doesn't need to go in the denominator, because if x was a negative 3, I would now have e to the negative 6, and it's in the wrong spot. But generally, this is how I find the answer gets written. And do not try to combine these into a single fraction. I mean, you can use LCDs and it gets messy and tricky, but it can be done. But because our denominators are not giving us like fractions, go ahead and stop here.